Is Salim, how do you want to be introduced to?
Um, you can just call it just technology professional, technology business dev. I don't that's always a tough one because I always try to figure out what's my best way. What do you think?
I want to call you a
Yeah,
professional. I'll go with that.
we can do that. That'll always or a workforce partner. We can do that.
Workforce partner. Perfect. Oh, we're live. I'm like, there we go. Ready? Three, two, one. Hey, good evening, everybody, or good morning, wherever you are around the world. My name is Alejandro Ibanez. Welcome to Leading with the Capital A, brought to you by Minorities in Cybersecurity this season. Like I said, I was going to bring my friends from all over the world, and today I'm being joined by Salim Powell, our workforce partner extraordinaire, and I'm undercutting this title by a lot because Salim does everything and then some. He is my homie from the South and the East, and I always love to collaborate every year in Dallas with him. But Salim, I'm gonna pass it off to you to do a little more. We're talking about recruiting this time
Mhm.
around and about how we're gonna survive this shift in the marketplace. I know that spring recruiting season has come and gone, and we're on the end of it right now. I'm hoping to have 45 minutes to just chop it up with you and talk about our current labor force and what other experience you want to bring to the Spire session.
Awesome. Appreciate the introduction. I don't do that much. Yeah, so in terms of recruiting, um, I think it's a big shift right now that I think that we're seeing in the market. And a lot of it is based off, I know on the IT side, so I do mainly IT, but now, been helping out in the cyberspace as well. But the same thing, it remains the same. At the end of the day, adding headcount now isn't like it used to be before, where it was just, hey, we need a person, we need this job done, we add a body, we add a person, we hire them. People are hiring more on outcomes. And so what does that mean? What you can bring, um, the value you can add. And so being able to be really intentional about skills. I know the AI craze is another thing. That's something else we could talk
Oh,
about.
yeah.
um, the skills side of this, and being able to add their value right now, more than ever because of so much noise. How do you differentiate yourself is always kind of the way that you have to go about it, for even as to a recruiter, then to a hiring manager, or then
Oh yeah,
to,
you sit in that
from
special part
there.
right there
So
between CISO and people breaking in and stuff like that. I want to add real quick. So like, you describe yourself as a former football coach who now
yep,
brings like your scout eye to tech talent.
yep,
Most
correct.
people who are coming to the program are coming from SOC, GRC, or even engineering. Can you walk us through how you're sorting through that line and how you're taking that strategy when it comes to you like day to day?
Yeah. So the way that I always look at it, if I'm looking at any individual, or I'm trying to help someone figure out how they're gonna break in, I look at it from a football lens, right? It was
Yeah.
like football, NFL was the premier place, right? There's only so many teams. And it's kind of like that when you come to cybersecurity, right? Like there's all these jobs, but I mean, there's more demand and all these, but there's only but so many spots. And it's like, okay, coming in, like, where's your value, right? Like, are you a person that can just do X? You just can come in, you can do this said thing, you knock it out, that's it. Okay, what's next, right? Or are you that person, what we call, it's called football, or you're one whole player. This is all you can do. This is the only thing you can do, is that's it. Or are you the person that come in and say, okay, listen, I can play this position. And while I'm playing this position, while I'm playing defensive back, I'm also in the room hearing corner play. I'm hearing nickel play. So I can play all over the secondary. And so as someone's trying to break in, that's the mindset you have to have. I used to tell guys, get to the NFL or get to the big league, whatever it is, instead of, like, to get on the field, you have to be able to add value. So if your value is going and playing special teams, well, guess what? You're on the bus or you're on the plane.
There you
And
go.
if you're on the bus and on the plane, you're hearing about offense and defense, even if you're not a starter. Same way. You come in an organization, or you're trying to get into an organization. You have to be able to find ways. What can you learn? What's your edge? That's going to allow you to stay at least in the room because the opportunity is going to come. Somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to be overwhelmed with projects. Somebody's going to say, "Hey, you want to take a shot at this? You do this," and then you're prepared. And
Yep.
so, kind of seeing it that way um, gives people a way to say, "Okay, now how can I put this on paper?" Right? That's the next phase. How can you describe that? And you have to be able to quantify that. You have to be able to quantify that helps you be able to, write resumes, really say exactly what you did, but with like not, oh, I helped generate or I assisted with this many reports. No, how many was it on average in a week? That gives
Stats on
volume.
the play and adding stats and impact. Yeah.
Yeah. So because if I'm looking at it and I go, okay, this guy made a bunch of tackles, but then I look at it and somebody presents it like, hey, listen, this guy made 19 tackles multiple times. He had double-digit tackles every game. I'm like, okay, we got to go look at this guy. Now I got to look closer. So it's just like you just want somebody to go, is there more there? Right? And so how do you do that? And then even if you're not in a job, let's say you're trying to get in, like some most people are, right? Like what did you do with projects? What have you done um with, even if it's a volunteer thing, even if you're just putting some things together, just practice, that all helps because if I can quantify I did X number of things with X amount of data, or I did X number of tasks for this, in this amount of time, it gives someone something to look at. I can go on and on with the
Oh no,
football.
definitely. Well, I'm gonna keep on the play then. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
this. On the flip side of like, your stat sheet, what are you
Hmm.
learning to that what are you learning to discount? Like something that looks impressive, but you're like, nah, that's not where it's at anymore. Like whether it's a certification, whether it's cert stacking, job hopping, vendor hopping. I used to be a vendor hopper. I like shout out to Tech Systems, Aerotech, Robert Hoff type of stuff. Like
Hmm.
I did my fair share of that circuit. Um, what in today's market, what sells on a resume and what's not selling anymore? Because I know, like, from where you sit in, you're probably looking
Hmm.
at hundreds of recs. You're talking to CISOs, IT leaders. What do they
Hmm.
need most right now, and what's actually hard to fill? And then what are they discounting? Because you're like, hey, that's now a dime a dozen.
Yeah, I think obviously number one, it's always the cert stack is, I think it's probably the most overplayed. I'm not saying it doesn't have any value, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
not, like, let's be real. It has value. But I think it also says that, okay, you studied, you sat, you put in work. I mean, there's effort that goes into that. But I think what I always hear all the time, critical thinking. Critical thinking is like one of the things that you have to be able to have experience, put yourself in situations where you actually have to do that. It's like a player, right? Like you can have size, you can have speed, you can have those things that jump out right off the, oh, got a shirt, did this, did that, but what does your process look like? How does, like, this player is, how fast can he process? He might see something happen before this other guy. So what's your edge going to give you a quicker step? So I think now, more than ever, there's a lot of fragmented data, between fragmented, siloed operations. Everybody's trying to kind of clean everything up, be more efficient, right? Because like you said, you talked about the days of people everywhere, right? And now they're looking at, okay, are we adding people and we adding processes just for the sake of having it? Or I see now people are trying to scale it down and say, okay, why are we doing this? And
Yep.
then where does this all fit? So the the mindset of a person, because you get to an interview, right? They want to know, how do you think? How are you going to go about problem solving? Um, do you have effective communication skills to talk amongst cross-functionally across teams? So if there's something that you need and it's not there, Do you have the wherewithal to understand, like, okay, well, let me go set some time up with this person. Let's pull this together. That's one of the bigger keys to even with some of my most senior consultants in my day to day and things like that. Like their biggest thing is, can someone figure out how to get things done? And a lot of times that comes with talking to people, which we all love to just go in our hole, sit down,
Oh,
pop
it's
some
just chill.
headphones in, and just or whatever. But I think communication, um, the ability to solve problems, and then after that, just really, um, it's always a tough one, because obviously the skill matters. I'm not saying that the skills don't matter, but I think it's truly about being able to clearly articulate what you've done, being
Okay.
able to talk to um, different, we call them stakeholders, whatever, executive level people, however you want to put it. You have to be able to, so that it still falls in with the communication piece, but be able to clearly do that. I think those are some big ones. What else did you ask? You had a very loaded question, so if you
That
don't
one was
repeat it.
loaded, but you answered it. You answered it. It was
Okay.
more of like, what are people not like? What's something that's misleading on a resume that might
Yep.
not
Okay.
be as showy as people think? Like I typically look for like certification when I see the alphabet soup at the end of a letter or so.
Yep.
Like somebody just posted on LinkedIn the other day, I have cleared 28 out of the 32 of this who hosts certified ethical hacker. It's hosted by CompTIA. No, CEH is by. Let me Google it real quick.
Hmm.
The EC Council, and I was
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
all I saw there was I'm like, damn, you spent 85K on 29 certs, and you're gonna clear
Right.
it, which I'm like, good for you.
Good for
However,
you. Yep.
I'm a big believer that you should be certified. Certifications expire for a reason, and two, you should be certified for the job you're doing in the industry you're at or the industry you want to go to. So when I'm
Right.
looking for a certification, if you're applying for a pen tester role, then yeah, I'm looking for your CEH. I'm looking for your red team from SANS. I'm looking for your SEC from I forget what it's called, SEC defense from CompTIA, stuff like that. I'm not necessarily looking for like the CISSP. I'm not looking for the CISSA, stuff like that, and like leaving it on your title. I think it's great. It provides a like you diversity of thinking. But if you're telling me I want to go for a pen tester role level 2 or senior level at Google or at my company, and you just finished taking your CISSP, I'm like, I'm a little questioning like, cool. CISSP is a very GRC heavily focused cross domain. Are you looking for management? Are you looking for a cross domain? It's like, no, I just want a senior pen tester. Then I'm like, was it free? If it was free, go for it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I look for more intentionality behind the certs, and I feel like some people, the intentionality is just to be like, I did it all. What I see is not intention and maybe a waste of money.
Yeah, and yeah, you're correct. I mean, I think a lot of times, there's a lot of, I'm trying to figure out the best way to say. There's a lot of CYA when it comes to, sometimes, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I think sometimes there's two parts that happen in hiring. Um, Sometimes people aren't as hiring managers. Number one, they don't have the time all the time. Like they're inundated to a point where they can't focus in for too long when they're looking through resumes and such, right? Because they have all these other fires they're putting out, things they got to get done, reports they got to generate, milestones they got to hit, you name it. And then they get to a point where, like you said, if you got like certs galore all over the place, they're just kind of like, all right, I'm moving on, because you know why? Because now they got to go. There's too many questions.
Mhm.
Like you said, like, do you really want this? Are you doing this just so you can have something? Just so you can, are you using this as a stepping stone? Are you? So I do, I can agree with that. And I have some of the feedback that I've heard, like, as a recruiter, or even as a account manager, I'll hear them saying like, listen, I don't need this person to have every cert in the world, but like I need them to understand X. I need to be able to ask them about For example, I was talking to one guy. He was like, "Hey, if they can't answer about horizontal scaling, and we're talking about IT, that's that IT thing. Like, there's no need to keep having
No,
a
no.
conversation because like that's what's needed." So I think you're right to that sense. It's like, hey, like have an awareness about what's needed. Um, and I think one thing that I've always, I've seen people do is like, hey, name your cert or two, right? And then you can always say like, hey, additional certifications, can be given if needed, that type of thing. So
I agree.
yeah.
And once it's expired, guys, it should probably be off the resume, is what I'm going to add on here. That's my own personal experience. There's some jobs that will say, yeah, especially the ones that require CISSP. IC Squared has made it a very lucrative field to make sure you have an active CISSP cert. They expire within 4 to 5 years, which is why I say don't go for the alphabet soup if you're not going for a targeted industry. Because all you did was waste money. And if a job does require that, you can't be like, oh, I got that 20 years ago. They're going to be like, cool, it has to be from the last 5 test period. And also, the amount of CPE, continuing professional education credit, you have to do to maintain certs gets annoying. Oh, I'm not the best
Hmm.
advocate for this. Actually, unless you're going to RSA every year and you're paying that 10 grand, and on top of that, you are then going to shout out to Cyberwire Daily, is what I'll say. Every YouTube session of Cyberwire Daily and earning that point 0.5 credit every morning, you have a problem because it's going to be time for renewal and they're going to be like, hey, where's your 85 CPE credits? And it turns a whole other pathway.
Yeah, that's one other thing. You said something, continuing education.
Yeah.
That is another piece that I hear and I've heard recently. Many times, and continuing education don't have to always be a cert, right? Like it can be, but I think it's important that people, especially if people want to hire people, they want to know, are you going to get the job and are you going to basically stay the same? Well, I think anybody, I don't care what field you're in, it's like a football player who makes it to the league, gets drafted. All right, I'm good. Like you're just not going to get better as a as a human.
As
You're
a
not going to
player,
try to get smarter. You're not going to try to get faster. You're not going to try to react quicker. You're not going to try to do any of those things. You're just going to like, you know what I
I'm
did,
done.
I'm good. What happens to those guys, right? They don't
They're
get a
off in
second
two
contract.
seasons. Yep.
So it's the same thing, when you're trying to go get that job, and I have to always, got to keep reminding myself, this is at all levels, right? When you're trying to break in, one of the questions I always ask people, even for apprenticeship, whatever it is, if you don't have experience, hey, give me a time where you had to learn something new, and how did you go about it? That could be anything. That could be a language. That could be, I don't care what it is, a sport, whatever. You want to try out a different, sport, language, anything, art, hobbies. Tell me how you went about it because what that's going to tell me is how you think, how you prioritize. Can you prioritize? Can you create a schedule for yourself? And you're using your own mind, which then dips to AI. Because of course you can. I mean, let's be honest. You can pop that in there if you need. Like these are the things that you need to like. You have to start thinking about some of these questions because some of it isn't skills. It's about
Can you
how you use
process
it.
it?
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's how you critically process.
Yeah.
Ironically, that was my favorite question in the Facebook interview pipeline was, tell me about a time you got to learn something quickly. That's always my favorite question to answer and receive. Or we also trick people. They don't trick people, so I shouldn't say trick. I'll say at the beginning, the "How are you?" question is always intro. You're already on. Even it's like, "Hey, hope your day's going well. How are you today, Salim?" Stuff like that. I'm like, I always will add a tidbit of, "I'm actually doing great. I just checked out X, Y, and Z from the library. I'm excited to learn it. And I'm excited to go through it," type of thing. In that sentence alone, that hiring manager has just gotten like, shit, he uses the public library. great. He knows how to utilize a resource for cheaply, and two, he's learning about it and moving forward. I've set the granola narrative in their mind already of like, here's who I am in less than a
That
minute.
is, and that is 100% gold. And I need to start using that.
Oh,
I need to use it more. I need to use it more because, and again, and we all do it differently, right? A lot of people, the how are you? How's he doing? You know what? I'm doing great. Like I can't complain, right? Like I'm here, I'm in this position, it's where we are. Like this is like you need to make sure, like you said, you just had that person think what you're using your opener that, man, this guy. And they're gonna you what you'll see is they'll probably adjust themselves, like, all right, well, this guy is like,
oh, he's ready to go.
or guy or gal or whoever, like
Yeah,
they are
yeah.
on it. I gotta sit up and make sure like I'm on it because if I just I need to like ask good questions.
Oh, you'd be surprised how often I'm gonna be like, let's wrap this up in carpet and bounce. Like, come on, like I'm ready. Like, if it's a yes or no. The gamification of interviewing has happened so quickly, especially
Hmm.
like think about it. Our entire generation, Tinder, swiping, Zillow, everything has been instant, boom, 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 boom. Where I'm like, the faster you roll through it, when you know where to push gas and where to push brakes, you start really being like, oh, okay, this is the moment. And like that question alone was painting that narrative. No matter like I could be having the shittiest day or the worst day of my
Hmm.
life, I will still be. It is going great now that you're here.
Exactly. Exactly. Because that's what people want. And here's the other thing it alludes to. You're not a complainer.
No,
And like you're going to this is how you're going to show up. And let's be honest. I always tell people, working in the sports world taught me a lot. And it holds true. I know it holds true, especially in working in cyber. And like you're going to work with people for a long amount of hours in a day. The last thing somebody wants is somebody who's a complainer, somebody who's not like solution oriented, somebody like on their team that they have to like constantly be in communication with. They want to be around. I tell people all the time, I used to tell, guys, as I was exiting that field, people like, oh man, I want to get in a coach. I want to do this. I want to do that. I'm just like, listen, when you get there, when you get in front of people, I'm not saying don't be yourself, don't, but like, they just really want to know who you are because they want to know if they could be around you 15 hours out of the day. Because that used to be what the day was like. You know what I mean? Like
oh yeah.
can we coexist? And I
And it
think
is
that's a
to
big
add on
one.
that too. It saves you time too, because if they say no and you say no, it's both ways on that part. I've had executive teams that are like, "You're my guy," and I'm like, "We're just friends. Thank you."
Hmm.
I,
Hmm.
yeah, I could tolerate you for the money, but no, I would like, especially in startup world. That's another one. Startup world is you're with these people maybe 24 hours a day, if not
Yep.
72 hours.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you are going to be wearing different hats. You're going to be dancing different narratives. It is to live and die 1,000 times.
Yep.
And if you got to make sure every reincarnation, you are ready to be like,
Wait,
yep,
let's go. Let's
let's
do this
go.
again. Let's
Yeah.
go. Like let's go. Let's take the field and let's go do it again and be comfortable with it. Um, I think that is also, that's a very underrated piece. When you do get that opportunity to talk to people, and it's not only in interviews. I want to
No,
touch on something before, I know, we're talking resumes, we're talking interviews.
it's pillow
I'm
talk.
always I always talk about things in three prongs. It's about networking.
Yeah.
That in itself is your interview a lot of times. That will be how you engage with the person who's probably going to influence the decision more than you even going through the whole interview process. And you can gain a lot by doing that. Go ahead. I know it's
Oh, no,
churning.
I'm
I
going to
see
say,
it.
you triggered me on that one. I'm like, yeah, like, take RSA, take B-sides, take any of the conferences. Like, if you haven't, start local first. Start with a meetup group. You'll be surprised. My partner and I just got invited to a local AI machine learning meetup group just because we've been messing around with Claude and doing a bunch of like automations, doing stuff like that. Did not realize that these are the same. I realized it a little bit. Maybe he didn't on that part. But suddenly he's being like, hey, do you have 5 minutes to talk? I love your idea about that pitch. Turns into CEOs being like, I need to talk to you for 10 minutes. I'm doing this. Would love to bring you on.
Yep. Yep. And so I think this is the biggest. I think this. Let's be honest. The resumes
Yeah.
and all those things are great. Those are the things that you have to do it, right? But the keys to unlock it is all in who you can create relationships with. And be intentional. Nobody's telling you to be fake, right? Like
Yep.
go to things like you're talking about, small meetup groups. If the big conference thing isn't you, we can spend a whole nother session on how to navigate conferences beforehand, scouting it
That's part
out,
two. That's
understanding.
part two.
Yeah, like that's part two. But like from a networking, building relationships, a lot of times the resume is the formality um, in those situations. Now, if you're going in cold, obviously you have to have your resume, set up
Huh.
correctly with the right information. Um, because then that gets looked at by a couple different people. And so like all these things align. But the networking piece and building relationships and meetup groups um, is paramount because we're in a space, and this is for any job seeker. This is from top to bottom. I don't care if you have 15 years, if you got 0, you got 7. There's so much noise right now on LinkedIn, on any social, anything you can think about. There's a ton of things that just pop up left and right. You cannot possibly, it's almost impossible to just always stand out because you're going to stand out for about how many seconds,
Your
and then the
15
feed's going
minutes
to
of fame.
roll and somebody
Yep.
else is going to be at the top, right? And so that's why it seems like people have now become these influencers, and I'm not saying you need to do that, right? But that's why people try to do it because they know that as fast as they are here, something new is coming up. So sometimes it's good you have to do it all. You have to be visible, but then at the same time, you have to be working on your skills. And then the third prong is always who are you around? What are you going to? Where are you visible? Both in person and virtually. And I think the clock has rewinded back when it comes time to building relationships and getting things done. People There's too much noise. They don't know what's what. They can't tell what's real, what's not, what's this, what's that. You got to get in front of people. And we're human. And so the fastest way to get some buy-in is by physically being in front of someone. And then
I
that
agree.
goes from there.
Yeah, I agree fully.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays, it's LinkedIn is constantly. I just re-promoted the mic thing 2 seconds ago, or like right before this call, and it told me, "Have you tried posting 3 more times a week? You would get 4x greater influence." And I'm like, I'm okay. I'm like,
Correct.
yeah, I'm good.
And that's a reality. And so now put AI on top of that. How many marketing campaigns can Claude run? How many, like how much more? So we have to start to think about this differently. Like, okay, back to my football, right? Like, am I gonna keep trying to run this play into a bare front defense where I know I'm not like we're not getting it there, right?
I would. I would.
You would,
I'm
you
very
would,
yeah. Oh, but
yeah,
go for it.
but we're gonna have to say, okay, what else is open? How else can we still move the ball, right?
Yeah.
Or block it differently? That's the other piece. How are we going to do this? We can still run it, but I can't run that specific play.
No.
Now I got to block this differently because of the newness and like with all the AI, with all so we already had a virtual world that was noisy, but now more than ever,
It's
it's
faster.
even
It's
noisier
noisier and faster, and it's
and
getting
faster.
yeah.
Everything is speed. So what do we have to do?
Yeah.
We have to meet people because this person that you meet, and then you meet this other person, and then you meet a couple more people, and then they know what you're looking for, and then you know what they do. And so now, one coach had always told me when I was, starting in college coaching and stuff, he said, man, you're as good as, that person's last memory of you. Like, you got to stay top of mind. And if you're
Keep
just
it
hanging
up.
out in the back, just working on your work, got my resume ready, I'm good. Nobody's
Oh
gonna
yeah.
find you because how many times did somebody ask you, Alejandro, like, hey man, you know somebody that could do this? And you're like, man, I know somebody. But because you haven't talked to that person probably in like 6 months, you don't remember who they are. No fun, not intentionally,
No, but you're right.
but because, and so that's where you have to start getting into how to network, how to create a cadence with someone that still feels natural. Like it's 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 a process, but you have to do it if you're wanting to get in to said space. And then, like you talked about before, are you going to the places where these people are? I can't go look for good players at
No.
places that don't they're not doing good. They don't have good teams. They don't how am I supposed to do that? So what do I have to do? I have to put myself in places to understand like okay, or if you don't know where that is, team up with somebody who does and allow them to go with you or point you in that direction.
I completely
Uh,
agree.
yeah.
Especially nowadays too. Like, and I'll also say this: be willing. Some spaces are still virtual. Some are in person. I think that's the other part that we have now left over. We're in a hybrid world where you have some professionals like you never know who you'll meet on a Discord, and I'm not gonna go more into that, but I will say there are some online places where you might be hanging out with you're rubbing shoulders with somebody who can hire, and you don't know
Yep.
it yet. I'm not saying it's a video game Discord or a video game Slack, but there is professional spaces online. Um, you touched on something that I kind of want to get at, where
Mhm.
I think right now the statement is AI is eating the bottom rung of a lot of professions, and people are
Yeah.
debating whether or not like stock analyst roles will exist in 5 years because we're hearing AI automation on this. Like, what are you seeing on the entry level side? Is the door closing? Is changing? I know you were big with people who are like we're transitioning, but it's
Mhm.
not starting over.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep. And I'm a big believer in that because I did it. I had to make that, now I did it on the side. I think I did it, the timing was great when I did do it, but I Philly Tech Week just happened this week, and I was, going around. I was sitting in, like, I went to a meetup where we met up. It was like 8 of us sitting around at this restaurant coffee table, and it was literally entrepreneurs. There was like software engineers, founders, a woman who was like writing, former software engineer. Like it, you go to things like that. But the thing that you're hearing most, and then I went and sat in a room with CEOs of healthcare hospital systems, large ones. And the thing that you keep hearing is, and I said this before too, AI is not going to replace you, but the person who has embraced it and learned how to use it in an efficient way will.
Hmm.
So if Alejandro and you and I are going for, we're working somewhere and it's like I'll be the stubborn one, like, this AI stuff, I've got all my skills, right? And you're like,
Well, you
cool, I
use me
got
as the
skills.
example for this one because I'll say that regulated spaces are where I'm concerned with financial, government,
Hmm.
medical, because a lot of them they've had the it's against insert framework here, don't touch it. PCI, it's against PCI, it's against medical, it's against this. I think we're the ones falling behind.
Yeah, because you have to learn, number one, let's start with this. You have to know the foundational skills in the beginning. I don't think that AI can just totally take, at least not yet. It's not going to be able to just totally erase the person. So you got to have that first. You got to have the skills. So, matter of fact, prime example was at an event, data. data group in
Did it
Philly,
talk?
and
Oh yeah.
they were talking about um, one guy was like, "Hey, listen, I don't have to write like SQL. Let's use SQL. Like people don't use have to write in SQL as much anymore, right? But they do have to be able to look at it and QA it themselves before they just go, oh, it's good.
Oh yeah. Right. You're dealing with databases, man.
Like, yes, it has a lot, like AI has a lot of compute power. Same thing with a SOC. Same thing with like they're going to be able to, but they still need humans to understand something doesn't look right. Something is off. That's human intuition, right? Like when we're talking about computing and all that, yeah, can it, I mean, look at a calculator. A calculator can do math faster than most people, right? Same thing. It's a further evolution. But I think what we're seeing is there are going to be jobs that I don't think it's going to eliminate, but there's going to be, it is like they're going to be less because it's going to be 50% AI and 50% human from like a head count perspective. I think where you're going to see it most is in more of your high turnover positions, where there's already high turnover. So their thought process is, okay, well, we're losing people anyway at this rate. Well, what happens when we lose that person? Maybe let's try to get like an agentic AI or something in there and see how that stands up. But they can't eliminate us all, right? Like that just doesn't make any sense. That's not sustainable at this point. And the other part to that is it goes around, you have to understand what it can help you do, where you can use it effectively as a tool. It's not an end all be all. And I think from a entry level standpoint, there are the mundane things that you're going to have to do that's going to help you do quicker. So now you can now think when we talked about in the beginning, now you can think critically more. You can look at bigger like projects and things that's really going to move the business needle. Like it's going to move the business. It's not like I'll move your day to day. What AI is allowing at those positions is for time back for people to be able to do more. So it's not necessarily like a replacement, but it's an amplification of what we can actually do. And so I think the sock piece and all that, but like, are you going to be the person that does not know, at least have an idea or know what's going on around it? Or are you going to be the person that knows your skills? I always call it extreme ownership. Are you going to extremely own your skills so that you know when something gets spit out, what's right, what's wrong, what's not? To the naked eye, to somebody who doesn't know what they're looking at, they're like, oh, this is great. But you'll be able to see. Prime example, engineer said the same thing. Said somebody made something, used Claude, and she's like, the guy, he was all excited about it. And her as an engineer, she's like, yeah, this is great. But she's like, all the bugs, the little things, like she can see it in the code. She can see it right off the bat. And she goes, yeah, this is great. Like, yes, it for now, but what happens when we already had tech debt? Now what happens when AI debt starts to build up? And now you got to be able to try to go back and like try to recall and try to, now
We're
you're
seeing it
in a
with
whole
GitHub.
nother, yeah.
Microsoft has had the this quarter alone, they've announced more outages than the last 4 years combined on just GitHub alerts. On like XYZ service. It what's the quote? I forgot who said it. It's 10x in productivity, but or no, 4x in productivity, but 10x in vulnerabilities.
And that's the part, and this is the part that we this community has to embrace. The level of just vulnerabilities that this brings, because anytime there's something new, like let's be honest, anytime there's something new, right? It comes with its own set of challenges. And I think at this time, it's kind of like it's a gift and a curse, right? Like you can get so much done faster, but now look at everything else that you now have to look at. And I think the key to it is there's a lot out there, right? Start learning what's working, what's not. Again, we're back to, we just talked about learning. Price said learning, well, how many times? It's a
Like twice,
continuous
yeah.
learning.
Yeah.
You gotta keep learning. You gotta know what it does, what it doesn't, because anything, and we all know, the more that you know about how complex something is, you know about your competition, right? How do people in sports watch film? So they know what their opponent or what their competition is trying to do. So if
You
I
run
know
their
they're in
play.
this defense, yeah, if I know they're in this
Yeah.
defense and I'm on offense and I'm going like, okay, they're trying to stop me from doing X. What does this defense now present? What opportunities does this present? So we got to look at it that way. Same thing on defense. You know, I know what they're trying to do to me when they get in this formation. I know they're trying to get me to spread out. They're trying to get the box light so they can run the ball, or to get me up here and so they can throw it over my head. It's the same thing. Looking at this space and what's coming, you gotta prepare. And so preparing is continuously studying, continuously learning, talking to people, learning more. Books you read and the people you meet. It's the one phrase that I always hear. That's what does it.
I'm stealing that one. I'm stealing that one. I would say,
I,
okay,
I can't take all the credit for that quote, but you know,
yo, it's how it's passing knowledge. We pass through conversations.
exactly.
I want to touch on one last thing. I know that I want to be
Yep.
mindful of time, but I also want to be like, hey, if you could change one thing about how this industry hires right now, one thing that
Mm,
would actually move the needle on the talent gap and this whole, because right, I think you and I have both touched on this in our other panels, prior conversations, is
mhm.
there's not necessarily a talent shortage, but there's a talent match issue.
There's a misalignment.
Yeah.
There's a misalignment. Um, and again, there's a lot of pieces to that cause that misalignment. Pressures from here, from there, for revenue, for and now speed,
Yeah.
right? Like things got to happen faster. If it's a product, if it's I think the misalignment piece is number one, especially in the cyber side. Like you're not just going to be able to go and pluck and hire person to do this thing. Like they're already either snatched up or there's probably people working a full time and they probably got a contract gig because the demand for them is so high. So
Yep.
at what point do you say, okay, we need to start developing people? The issue I think there is some people get put into management positions and
And they're
that's
not.
not what they're there to do. They're not there
Yep.
to lean in and develop. They're not there for the long game. They want to come in, they want to say, hey, my team is an A team and they're getting it done and they're going to take the credit and they're going to, do the, and that be that. So I think the misalignment, especially in this industry of people having to lean in a little bit and take some time to develop and job descriptions are as good as the last time they hired somebody for that position. I looked at that somewhere lately and I'm like, that is spot on. How many times, and this happens to me, and this is why anytime I get someone say, hey man, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z, okay, can you set me up with the hiring manager? Let's talk about it. Because the job description, and let's not even talk about how I think some of these job descriptions, when they want to refresh them, where do you think they're going to do that at?
Oh,
What,
Claude. They're just straight up dropping them in Claude
just
now. And they're,
drop them in. And so I'm like,
yeah.
okay, if you found this person that does all these things, it checks all these boxes. Number one, you're gonna have to pay them more than your budget, right? And so then it's the same thing for new talent. So at that end, for the higher end, you don't have a budget to pay somebody to do all these things. The other end, how do you expect them to have all this type of experience at this
That
level?
the talent mismatch level is so real. I think that's the part where I have to keep telling executives, they're like, well, junior talent can do it with AI. I'm like, you're no.
Because
Yeah.
now there you go. Junior talent can do it, but you need the foundation. I think in anything that you do, you need the foundation. And that's the hard part, but that's the mismatch that I'm usually getting. And it's like, hey, listen, let's talk about this. Let's say if somebody fits this thing 75, fits this JD 75%. Out of that, like what is the one or two things, right? Maybe three. I'm torn between that one. What's the top three must-haves? Everybody talks about that. But like, what are the things that you need them to be able to do when they come in? Where would you like to see them 60 days in? Where would you
Yeah.
like to see them? Like where are you trying to go? Where does this person need to be trying to matriculate to for
Yeah.
us to really understand what you want versus what you need? And the wants in this position, is that a want in a sense that they can pick up with some help of you, maybe some help of teaming them, like, or is that, like, is that a true need? And I
Oh,
think that
no.
and that's the alignment gaps. I think sometimes, and part of it is sometimes they don't really even know. They know they need to get something done. They know that this falling behind, and they're like, I just need somebody to come in and do this. And you're like, okay, great. But then when that gets done, then what else are they doing?
What are you keeping them on for? What is the value
What are you
add?
keeping them around for? What can they do? But if they do that, and then they can also do more, like where else? Like where, and I always tell, I mean, where are you feeling the most friction? Like, because that part is the part that needs to be like, hey, I need this person, but it would be great if this person knew how to do this because that's my real issue, and that's where things are going.
Oh, and
So
I tell that to people all the time. Like 80% of my job has never been my job.
there you go. There you go. The old bait and switch.
Yep. I'm like, and I have told people, I'm like, this is how I got into cyber. I was hired as an IT manager, and GRC came along, and it was like, hey, you own this, right? I'm like, I own the system, I own the implementation of it, I know the best practices. I don't own. I'm like, I can get it compliant, but delivering a SOC 2, delivering an ISO, delivering like next thing you know, bippity boppity do into a whole new field.
I like that. I know we're running out of time here, but be ready to do the things that other people don't want to do.
Yeah.
Be ready, and I mean, and not to a point of just allowing yourself just to get run over, but like there's certain things like you just talked about, like GRC, like some people don't want to deal with compliance. They don't want to do those things. They don't.
Oh, not at
Well,
all.
guess what? There's a need, right? So if you're trying to get in somewhere, right? That was always the thing. Like my thing was like, listen, from when I was younger, oh, I want to get into the NFL. Well, guess what? At one point, I had to figure out, listen, I had a good college career, but it wasn't good enough for me to get into the league. Hands
I
down, I accepted it. Right. Secondly, okay, I'm still going to get there. How am I going to get there? Right. What do I need to know? What do I need to learn? Where do I need to be? And then I started getting around people that was there, and when I, like you said, you went to a conference. I went to the combine. I went to the combine as a college coach. And I was like, yo, I'm just here to learn. I just want to know. I just want to learn, right? And so then you get into those situations, you get into these building relationships, and now you're amongst the people that are in places you want to go. And so then I did get there. Now I got there as a scout on the scouting side, right? Like I wasn't a player, but guess what? I still got there.
You
And
got there.
so that's the mindset. And that's what, Miss Mary
Yeah.
talks about all the time. Like this is like you gotta treat this, it's a lifestyle. That's a lifestyle. Like you really have to, and that's has to be what's in your head. I had notes in my phone from every person that I was at that level. I'm giving all my secrets away here. I had notes in my phone, and every person I met, this was before I could put in any AI or any of that stuff. Like I kept a note. Okay, I talked to the X person at this team on this date. I'll draft up my next text message or I'll draft up my next whatever. And I would and before I know it, my list got longer and longer and longer. And so then I gave it like a week or whatever it was. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna reach out to this person the next week. And before I knew it, by the time I got to the bottom of my list, it had been like 6 weeks. And so it seemed so natural because I met people. And then after that, from there, just had normal conversation. And we
You
touched
know,
on this before in I
I
think one of
think
our panels.
We did touch on
before.
this on one panel. It's people laughed at me in college. I kept a Rolodex.
Yes.
Yeah, I had top 50 contacts on a cork board. Every time I met people, as soon as I got like, I came to my university, and I was like, only one from my area, only one from my state. I'm gonna jump in, go ahead first, and be like, especially once you get to university, there's tons of people like, oh, I come with my little group, pre-made, boom, boom, boom. I got there, I was like, I got two people here, and that's it. It's time to plant seeds, time to grow, recon. I treated it like a Sev 1. And I walked through, like,
Yeah.
okay, recon the field, start taking notice. I wrote, you did the text message thing. I did the on the back of the card and said, what can I ask them for in the future? Or what could I give them? And like a
Nice.
unique thing about them. And I think Olive touches on this during the Mike series as well, where she's like, what's a unique characteristic about them? And not like a, oh, his beard needs to be lined up or anything. It was more of like, oh, like, hey, like, really interested in NASCAR, stuff like that.
Yes. That
And
is paramount.
yep,
Yes.
I got laughing because when the NASCAR thing happened in my university town, I was like, hey, there's a NASCAR event. I went back, I'm like, I know I wrote something down. I'm like, boom, pulled the card off my wall, was like, I'm heading to the NASCAR event, wanted to know if you want in. I have an extra ticket. That person ended up referring me for a scholarship that was like, I'm on the board for the scholarship. No one's applied. It's 25K to go abroad. And I was like, I'll take it.
Relationships.
Relationship.
That's what it's about. And it's not it seems in the beginning it kind of seems like, oh, I gotta be this, or it's not about being fake. You're just taking a note to self about what this person may be interested in and what they do. I still do it to this day to some of my clients. Like I had a client that she just rescued a dog, and she rescued a Shih Tzu, and I'm like, hey, how's Neville doing? You know what I mean? Like how's he doing? By the way, I sent you a Petco gift card to email. It might have got caught up in your, the side. I think they use mind caps or something. I'm like, hey, listen, might have got caught in there because they probably thought it was something, but hey, check it. People, they don't forget those things, and also it allows you to be human because you actually have a note, and you're not just checking in when you need a job or checking in when that used to be the one thing I tell anybody who gets into anything. Don't just contact people when you need something.
Say
Offer
hello.
them something.
Or I'll tell people, I'm like, I think I've sent you this one before. And it depends on the audience. I think sometimes it comes off a lot weird. But I'm like, I was channeling your energy today, man. Hope you're having a great day. Like type of thing. I'm like, I was negotiating a contract with a pest collector or something like that. And I was like, who do I need to channel today? Salim. I gotta be cool, calm, and collected and call it. And then the other time I was like, I'm at the gun range. Who am I gonna channel? Like, yeah. Who am I gonna channel
That's
today?
it.
Yeah. And
That's
I
it.
laugh. People always be like, I found it so funny when you sent me that text. Or I'm like, yo, good to know that you were thinking about me that other day. It really made my day, like that type of thing. And I'm like, boom.
Yeah, well, because we're all human, and again, it goes back to it's a noisy world. We don't know what's real. We don't know what's fake. If you're in a certain type of position, especially with people in hiring positions, I mean, I tell people all the time, like, listen, I don't take offense if the director of IT or director of this, you don't respond to my email. You get 1,000 of them. But if I see you in person, I'm just gonna say, hey, listen. They go, oh, you know what? I owe you a response. And I'm like, listen, you don't have to apologize. You don't owe me anything. You know what I mean? Like I chalk it up to we're all busy. We don't work is not our only thing. We have families, we have parents, we have spouses, we have whatever. It's life. So that's the big thing. Human.
Oh,
Be human.
I tell people that all the time. I'm like, look, man, there is so much stuff. And like in today's day and age, we're no longer in like the 50s where we're looking for a piece of mail coming through the pipeline. We are
No.
being bombarded by Slack, by LinkedIn, by like email, by like there in one week, especially in my old life pre-COVID, I probably had 1,500 talks or walk-bys or contact points or what I don't know what we're calling them nowadays in sales pipeline, omni-channel, I don't know.
Yeah.
150 verticals times 50 to 100 people per vertical. And then I was like, well, I don't know what I had for breakfast this morning. So now I'm like, man, I'm assuming
Your
that you
brain space matters, man. Your brain space matters. And you gotta think of that when you are talking to people, especially in higher positions, and they're trying to compartmentalize, or just in general. Like and it all goes hand in hand because the mission is still the same. Like, yes, you're trying to get a job, or for me, I'm trying to close a deal, or whatever the case may be, but it's not going to do me any justice not to be human, because at the end of the day, that's what we all have to fall back on. That's what's going to make us feel good. And anything that you do now, more than ever, people do business, people hire, people, partner with people that they, in some sort of, they have to like you. And they have to like you. And it doesn't mean you have to try to be something that you're not, or try to always appeal to their senses, but they got to know who you are. They got to know what you're about, and they have to like you. And that's what interviewing is. Do I like this person? Number one, can they do the job? Number two, do I like this person? Right? Like, eh, regardless, I mean, yes, we all would say, oh, well, you should always hire the best person for the job. But it's like, yeah, but if they got all the skills, but they're a terrible person to be around, and they're, oh, the world's
There's a
sky
reason
is
that
falling.
stereotype exists. That stereotype exists that there's always that like we can't fire them even though they're a problem in the workspace because they own this or they're the only ones that know how to do B or they're like in 150 mile, and mind you, I've heard this one 200 times before, especially at big companies. We can't fire them because they're the only person specialized in that one skill in 400 miles or in the Seattle area.
So there's many things that we touched on here that you can zero in on. It's a
Yeah.
lot.
And you're not
Um,
wrong. I think to close it out, Salim, I gave everybody the what's one word, the what's their word of the year. I'll have to have Ralph text me mine because I forget mine every time. I think I
mm,
said resilience, um, for the beginning of the year. Do you have a word that you're honoring this year, you're honoring this month, that you're like, here's my 2026, and here's what I'm building towards?
that's a good question.
I should have hit you with it first. I usually give people time. I realized that I forgot to prep it for you. Where I was
It's
like, hey,
okay.
think about
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
No, it's
I'm like,
good. I'm between the area of, um I'm always trying to get back to, whenever I feel like I'm off, or I feel like I got so much stuff going on, back to the basics. Like, that's a phrase, and
back
I'm
to your
trying to
roots.
get it down to a word, because 26 is gonna look entirely different. It could be adaptability. It can be, and I think that that's a big one. I think adaptability, because that reigns across life, what we got going on in the world right now. Like, how are you going to be able to adapt, and move forward? So I think that could be one for me. I'll just get back to you if I think of something else better.
I'll take it. I think it's a great one to do. Um, Adaptability is a good one. I've heard that one. Resilience has been mine for a while because I'm like, it seems like we're gonna be in a time of our lives where we're in another unprecedented yearly event right now.
Hmm.
We have a cruise ship off of the board of was it South Africa now or no Spain? Yeah. So if we're
Yep.
about to go back into lockdown, at least I know I can hit you up and be like, hey.
Hey, we can talk. We can chat. Listen, it is, yeah. It's interesting, and that's the thing. It's really interesting. It's an interesting time, and I think we all gotta kind of have that focus to say, okay, even with all of this, less is more. Find those key things to work on. Find those key things that I always keep working towards. Be ready to adapt. And when I say adapt, don't mean change, but just adapt to, like, okay, this is happening. All right, so I got to kind of position myself this way. Got to position my day like this. I got to change maybe my routine to this.
Yep. No, I agree. It's gonna be a moment of like, hey, you gotta be ready to go with the flow. Like,
Yep.
show up to stuff just to show up and be like, okay, I'm here to help. Like, how can I do it?
How can I do
And
it?
go from there. Well, Salim, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can the people find you? Do you have a LinkedIn? Any event you want to plug?
Yeah, I always just go with my LinkedIn. It's pretty simple. I don't know how many Salim Powells are out there. You can find me on, LinkedIn. I got rid of, when I got out of football, I got rid of all the rest of the socials because I had to live on them before, and I was just like,
You don't have a
nope,
mixtape? No.
no mixtape to drop. Nope. no hot mixtapes to drop. No, man. LinkedIn is good. I'm always available there. Find me there, and yeah, reach out. I will definitely respond.
Perfect. Thank you for joining me, Salim. I appreciate it. You are probably gonna be one of the guests on the panel at the end of the year too. So we've been not implying. We've been dropping hints on one of the next ones is gonna be a panel, and I'm hosting like an all stars of like the my community. So I'm like, hey, I can't wait to see you in December when all it's gonna be all five of us. That one will not be a live stream topic. That will be a join us live webinar where
Nice.
it's gonna be an all in all where we don't have to censor ourselves a little more and we can be a little more happy hour like and feel free to ask us any question there and trust me Salim got some hot topics coming with some football stats and even coming with some
The
uh,
IT world is an interesting one.
oh trust me we're gonna talk about that one after but